So I'm not a big fan of Ukraine, and then now with Ukraine, I feel 100% differently. I feel again sense of purpose more so perhaps definitely than when I was in the military, and it's not just because I'm not. I'm not. Everyone says, "Oh, you're learning Ukrainian." I'm like, no, and part of it is because I'm abhorrently, lazy when it comes to languages. I know French, I know Spanish, and that's about my field. I'm not going to be able to learn Ukrainian, but also I want people to understand this isn't about Ukraine for me. I'm not. It's cool. We can get all emotional about Ukraine, this and that, but Ukraine has a lot of fucking answers to Ukrainian, government, bureaucracy, military. It's a corrupt, fucked up society. So I'm not a big fan of Ukraine. For its, I care deeply about its people.
Right.
I care deeply about the Ukrainian soldiers because they're human beings, and I have a history of being a human being. But nationality, the fucking government, no.
Yeah.
But in fairness, this is about way more than Russia and Ukraine. So the people who come back to me and say, "Oh, you're getting too obsessed with this," blah blah, blah. Like, no, I don't think you understand. And I know you can swallow this, this mantra of, "Well, this is great. We're bleeding the Russians dry," and it's like, but you've got to also understand the other dynamics in this of U.S. Appearance of U.S. passivity
Right.
is not helping us.
Right.
I mean, it really is not.
Not only that, but yes, we are bleeding Russia dry, but it's Ukrainian blood. Like there are actually people who are bleeding.
Yeah. So exactly. So if you are weird enough to think that human life is equal regardless of nationality, a very extraordinary point of view. I'm
Right. Right.
like, never understood how anyone can oppose that point of view. Oh, what is that?
This is Buffalo Trace.
Okay. And the Ukrainians are in violation of the Hague Convention. There is a, I forget the exact phraseology, but it is. We looked at this closely, and it's there should be no filming of. The phrase, the terminology is bringing attention, blah 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 blah, to media, and yes, the Ukrainians are violating that. Absolutely. They're filming of a number of things that they're doing with POWs is violating law of armed conflict, and you can't, guys.
Right.
Killing the Russian prisoners is
right, and it's interesting because in the past, in you like Latin America or whatever, if U.S. Forces or employees were involved with any force that committed, war atrocities or whatever,
back, right?
You have to, you're done.
Yeah.
But we're obviously not going to pull our support from Ukraine at this time.
Well, I mean,
these violations.
It's atrocities. No, I mean, it still is. I mean, you shouldn't kill dudes who, I mean, everyone knows who surrendered. I mean, and there was plenty of that. But my point is, it's not about Ukraine. We're not like, I happen to have, Ukraine flag tied to my bag, but I'm not, oh my God, Ukraine's so awesome. No, because I understand that there are plenty fucked up people running Ukraine. It's not about that. It's about global norms, right?
Right, right.
It's about Putin. It's like allowing dudes in the 21st century like Putin to do what they want to do. Oh, what is that?
This is Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
Ian, thank you very much. Question for the group. I've seen lots of Ukrainian field interrogations of Russian soldiers. No abuse of prisoners, but video online. Is this okay under the Hague? Are there prescriptions against filming POWs?
Yes, there are. And the Ukrainians are in violation of the Hague Convention. there is a, I forget the exact phraseology, but it is, we looked at this closely, and it's they should be no filming of the phrase, the terminology is bringing attention, blah 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 blah, to media, and yes, the Ukrainians are violating that. I absolutely, they're filming of a number of things that they're doing with POWs is violating law of armed conflict, and it's not obvious. It's not like the Ukrainians are intentionally saying, "Hey, fuck you, we're gonna." But there is an educational aspect of this that the United States probably needs to get involved in, saying, "Hey, guys, we understand you mean well, but these things are not palatable. You cannot do these things." Filming interrogations is one of them.
Yeah.
And filming interrogations and then posting them on, even if you have the permission of the guy being interrogated, everyone knows we don't do that.
Is that a challenge with working with what we could call like partisan forces, right? Is it?
I think it's a challenge, very clearly a challenge with the nature of this war, the bitterness. You can say any war has bitterness, but this particular war has a tremendous amount of anger, bitterness between the Russians and the Ukrainians. There is no, you just have to look at the rhetoric. There's no common ground. There's just absolute hatred and anger. So my point here is, a good friend of mine is a NATO lawyer. He's like the SES level lawyers and head of their review of law of armed conflict, blah, blah, blah. And he said, "Hey, NATO wants me to come into country. Can I embed with you guys? And I can teach classes of Ukrainians on law of armed conflict." And at me as an American, I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And then I was thinking about it, it's like, Butch, that is the worst fucking possible thing.
Right.
So we're not providing them with ATACMs. We're not giving them this, that. But we're bringing a dude in. We can't bring anyone else to train them on anything in the country.
Right.
But we're bringing a dude on telling them now, "Hey, we're going to teach you about the law of armed conflict."
Right.
They
Right.
could go, "Fuck you." We've got Russians raping people and pillaging our villages, and this is the only support you want to provide us, is telling us be nice to them.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing.
Right. Right.
Of course, I believe in the law of armed conflict.
Of course.
But,
of course. But it's not necessarily when you have 5 days to train. When you have 5 days.
We are beyond that, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Is we as U.S. trainers absolutely will distance ourselves as soon as anyone shows us a video of killing Russians prisoners. We're like, okay, that you have just fucking disqualified you and your whole unit for us being a touch point.
Yeah.
And we've been showing those videos plenty of times. So
Yeah.
my point is, it's a very, very dirty war, and the Ukrainians are committing plenty of violations of law of armed conflict, and we need to not accept what they're doing,
Right.
but call that out.
Right.
But the way to do it isn't say, "Hey guys, we can't give you any other training."
Right.
Javelin training.
We have an EO class.
I know,
right now.
javelin
Yeah.
training, but we're going to tell you, you can't, guys,
Right.
killing the Russian prisoners is...
Right. And it's interesting because in the past, in you like Latin America or whatever, if U.S. Forces or employees were involved with any force that committed, war atrocities or
right
whatever,
back, right?
you have to, you're done.
Yeah.
But we're obviously not going to pull our support from Ukraine at this
Well,
time.
I'm saying unit by unit you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I've got to tell you, no, they they don't commit atrocities.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I mean,
atrocities is a big
units,
word.
The
Yeah.
units that we are working with are very professional in how they,
Yeah.
interrogate Russian prisoners. But
Yeah.
I want people to understand that we, Mozart Group, are very. There's no question of us going, oh yeah, well, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's like, as soon as we see a video of killing prisoners or anything like that, we're like, dudes, we're going to another unit.
Yeah.
You know,
And I need to retract that. Like I said, atrocities, and I was thinking about like the Contras and Sandinistas and stuff. But you're talking about these violations.
it's atrocities. No,
Yeah.
I mean it still is. I mean you shouldn't kill dudes who, I mean, everyone knows who surrendered. I mean, and there was plenty of that. There was plenty of that. There's all kinds of atrocities to go around.
And I mean, I imagine for a lot of the soldiers, and this doesn't justify it, it just gives you sort of empathy or insight in the situation. I imagine for a lot of the soldiers and a lot of the civilians that it's a very personal, war.
Hugely, yeah. So, Dave, think about the risk calculus. So think about what you and me and Jack, when we deployed, our personal risk calculus, right? I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for you, and I never really sorted it out for myself. But I knew I wanted generally to survive, but I didn't want to appear as a chicken, as a coward. I didn't particularly want. I knew I wasn't going to get a medal. I wasn't that level of insane bravery. But you want to do your job, right? You troll along. For the Ukrainians, so it's a different.
Right.
They got their families behind them.
Right.
And so that risk calculus says, I would die.
Right.
Rather than, I would die and I'm going to take as many of these fuckers with me. And you can understand that, right? You can imagine literally your family is behind you.
Right.
You no longer care about your survival, right?
Right.
Russians
And
aren't
you don't
getting
care
there.
about some concept of the Hague somewhere.
No,
off
it's
somewhere.
like, it's, I'm going to kill every motherfucker who wants to touch my family. That's
Right.
how personal it becomes.
Right.
And who can blame them?
No.
I mean, it's very difficult as an outsider to, you've got to, but we're very careful not to foster that hatred, not to build on it. We're very careful to emphasize that you're a professional soldier. Here's what you do. You take prisoners, blah, blah, blah. We're very, we explain this is all part of the same package, guys. You're professionals, you're soldiers. You don't do shit. If you do, you're just like the Russians.
Right.
Who knows how much of an influence we have on that regard.
Right.
But, we're not blind to that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not Ukrainians. I've done stuff to support the Israelis, and I've gone through the same stuff to my guys. As read the name tape above your pocket. I can't do that now with my guys. We don't have name tapes, but you're not fucking Israelis. You're not Ukrainians. Right. This is about something higher than that. So let's not get too focused on our partners and start forgiving them for stuff that they don't need to be forgetful.
Right. You can still do your job without putting them on some sort of pedestal.
Pedestal, exactly. Right. Yeah. And we need to be cautious about that. And that's what I tell all of us. This isn't about Ukraine and Russia. We're not getting overly sentimental. It's not like, the Spanish Civil War. But maybe it is like the Spanish Civil War, because those guys who went to do, fight the Republicans were essentially saying, hey, this is a threat that is going to encompass the whole world soon.
Right.
And they were pressing,
Yeah.
So maybe it's not a bad analogy. But my point is, it's not about Ukraine. We're not like, I happen to have, Ukraine flag tied to my bag, but I'm not, oh my God, Ukraine's so awesome. No, because I understand that there are plenty fucked up people running Ukraine. It's not about that. It's about global norms, right?
Right.
It's about Putin. It's like
Right.
allowing
It-
dudes in the 21st century like Putin
Right.
to do what they want to do.
It's a just fight.
Yeah, it is.
T-Bar, thank you very much.